And now for our guest speaker. Our speaker today is Dr. Simon Crook, Director of Crook Science, an education consultancy responsible for designing and delivering high-quality education programs and workshops in science, technology, engineering and mathematics, or STEM as we call it, for schools, teachers and students. Simon has worked as a teacher for 15 years and as an education advisor for 7 years. He's also worked with the New South Wales Education Standards Authority and the Science Teachers Association in New South Wales, and he promotes and improves STEM education in schools. In 2022, Simon was recognised for his contributions to the field of education and was made a Fellow of the Australian Council of Education Leaders. He was also named as an educational influencer by leading education news website, The Educator. Simon is an honorary associate of the university, where he has collaborated with educators and researchers to develop innovative approaches to STEM education. He completed his PhD at this university, where he researched the impact of technology on teaching and learning. Dr. Crook, it is a great pleasure to welcome you back to the university, and I invite you to deliver the occasional address.
Pro-Chancellor Pettigrew, Professor Hayes, staff, distinguished guests, graduates, families and friends, welcome on this momentous day. I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of this land, the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation. In this place, there's a very long tradition of learning and community. I pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging, and extend that respect to all First Nations people here with us today. I'm humbled and privileged to have been asked to address you today. In this great hall, we are here to celebrate your graduation. Within these words of congratulations, I would also like to offer you some advice and make some appeals while sharing my own journey. As an alumnus and fellow graduates, I share many connections with you. You have chosen to dedicate your studies in education and social work, both noble professions that share a moral purpose, fostering care and support, seeking social justice, while aiming to make a difference in the lives of those you engage and interact with. What you have done and what you will do will directly benefit society, be that in teaching, social work, research, or other selfless pursuits. In our complex world of constant change, social media, with economic and social pressures, great educators and social workers and respected researchers are so important today and needed more than ever before. We need experts in schools, we need experts in the community, and we need experts finding out the dynamics of these complex systems and interactions. You might know it already, but this is your sense of vocation that will stay with you throughout your career, because you want to build relationships with those in your care and be part of their development. And this will have an impact on who you are. You also have a desire to see young people grow and those less fortunate to be advocated for. And whilst we sit here today contemplating our next steps, I implore you to put yourself out there, embrace challenges, be vulnerable, step out of your comfort zone. You might be celebrating the end of your studies, but your learning and growth will continue. Leaving my family in the UK, a permanent position as a physics teacher in East London, and moving to Australia to work in a low socioeconomic school in southwest Sydney was a risk. Many students here today will understand more than I how it feels to move to a new country or city and the difficulties of adjusting to a new culture. But the weather's pretty good. Despite some difficult adjustments, I was fortunate enough to make connections through my teaching with both students, who are now science teachers themselves, and colleagues who opened up opportunities and a shift in my career progression that I never thought would happen. The opportunities were there, and with confidence, I gave them a go. That's how I ended up here, completing a PhD in science education research. So I'm here today to offer some advice from my own experience, and whilst I try to often share my wisdom with my own kids at home, and am usually ignored, I hope that you'll take away some inklings. Grab every opportunity that comes your way. If someone asks you to volunteer your time to an exciting and worthwhile initiative, then do it. I know time is of the utmost importance, but the experience and opportunities will outlive the burden there and then. It was networking with some teachers when I was asked to help develop multimedia resources for HSC Physics with Professor Manju Sharma and Derek Muller, now of Veritasium fame. That was my introduction to this great university. A consequence was being offered a PhD, which I grabbed with both hands and thoroughly benefited from. Travel. Teaching is transferable. Social work is transferable. Research is built on cross-pollination and collaboration. If COVID taught us anything, it was don't take travel for granted. Many of you have travelled to study here. We follow your lead. Learn your trade. Be prepared to start at the bottom and work your way up, perhaps diversifying and gaining new experiences and expertise along the way. Before you know it, you'll be the experts. You will be the leaders. You can then share your expertise with others in the comfort that you've walked similar paths before them. If you so desired, you could become a consultant or start your own company. I was old and experienced when I started up mine, but then again, I wasn't aware or agile enough to do so when I was younger. But some of you here may be savvy and nimble enough already to forge new ground. Surround yourself with positive people. People who are like-minded, but also people who challenge you, make you want to do more, be more. Remind yourself continually about the great work that you are doing and celebrate the small successes. With the pace of life and growing work responsibilities, moments can feel overwhelming. You are venturing into social, emotional work. Take the time to invest in yourselves and your own well-being. Please remember to do this. Collaborate. Sharing experiences is much more enjoyable and beneficial than working in isolation. It is also easier to collaborate through modern technologies and various networks, not least through the Sydney alumni. Through my varied and oftentimes ad hoc networking, I've been lucky enough to work with the Nyul children and educators in the Kimberley in Western Australia. Next week, I'll be connecting some 10 and 11-year-old children from Western Sydney with similarly aged children in Ukraine near the front line, so that the Australian kids can gain an empathy, global citizenship, and understand how good they have it, and so the Ukrainian kids know that we care and we haven't forgotten about them, and also to discuss interesting things like kangaroos and square wombat poo. Let me leave you with two appeals. We live in a privileged country, in a privileged city. Many of us from relatively privileged backgrounds, and we are all privileged to be connected with this excellent university. Please do not work solely in the bubble of your background. Cut your teeth and earn your stripes in less privileged places and communities. Learn how to work in more challenging environments, and you'll be rewarded with a greater sense of achievement and will gain a greater empathy for much more of society. And if you get the chance, work or volunteer, even pay your own way to collaborate with Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples or other First Nation communities, particularly in regional and remote areas. Make the most of your expertise to right some historical wrongs and make genuine contributions where they are needed. And learn from these experiences. We have so much to learn from each other. Always keep learning. So once again, congratulations to you all. You've made great sacrifices and performed great deeds to be sitting here today. This is only the beginning of your journey. Who knows what the future will hold? Cherish this moment, savour it, and enjoy the time with your family, friends and colleagues. Welcome to the University of Sydney alumni. Thank you.